already been to heaven, bitch! You wanna come test card? You fucking come get it, shit stack! That's right, Eric. That's right, shit stack. Come get it. Fucking wrecked ya. That's how I felt. I don't know if any one of you have seen. My dad is here. He probably thinks I'm a crazy loony bag up here. But welcome to week 11. Obviously, I'm referencing the crazy car guy. I don't know if you guys have seen that on YouTube. Go check it out. It's hilarious. Fucking guy's a nutbag, but it's funny. Yeah, welcome to week 11. Got No Shave November going on right here. Got really coming together. Really coming together. I can't grow any of this at all. And I'm being sarcastic. It's not coming together at all well, but I can't grow any of this. So I've been shaving that and just leaving that. But yeah, welcome to week 11. What a great week. I'll share my screen. We'll go over some matchups that was for week 10, and then look ahead into week 11. I'll do some power rankings. We'll go over versus all, see which team is hot, which team is not. I'm completely doing this on the fly. I did a video last night, but I was just rambling on way too much, and I kind of want to do that first intro. But I was thinking about how can I rub it into Eric's face just a little bit, because that, and then the thumbnail or whatever the picture is for the video, it should be me eating my chicken tendies that Eric had to get me because he lost and I won. So, yeah, let's get started. But job's not done. I'm not even 500, so job's not done. I'm not in playoff contention, not yet. So, still a lot of work to do, but my team's kind of looking up. So let's hopefully I can keep that up. Got a matchup this next week that could definitely project me or put me ahead of someone else. So I'm pretty stoked for that. I hope my team does well. But excuse me. All right, let me share my window. Let's see here. So this last week, obviously, I got the dub over Eric. Let's go. Super happy about that. My team did really well. I could have started any three of my quarterbacks. So good job, Eric. You could have even still had Geno, and I still would have won. So happy about that. Buffalo Bills. You had me a little bit nervous with Stephon Diggs and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has some weapons. They've actually done pretty decent. They've beat Kansas City, Buffalo, and Green Bay. Green Bay is not a powerhouse of any, but still Buffalo and Kansas City, I think they've kind of caught them on bad weeks, but still a win's a win. So I was a little nervous for that, but my team pulled ahead. Super excited about that. Austin squeaking out a win with just under 1 point. So good job, Austin. I think you got a little bit lucky there because Josh Allen was not I don't think he deserved the fumble. He didn't deserve to have the fumble count against him. It seemed like James Cook just missed the handoff. I don't know. I feel like that should be shared, but a win's a win. So good shit. You're staying in first. Dre got his 6th win, so Dre doesn't have any more wins for the year. So hope you enjoyed your 6-4 record. We'll see if you can get over the 6 wins. I'm sure you can, but that'll be kind of cool to see someone get over the 6 wins for the first time. And then Whitney's team, I gotta say, public apology. And I think I'm not the only one that deserves or owes you an apology. I think a lot of people counted you out and counted your team out, but you're in 2nd place and you're killing everybody. Highest scorer on the week this last week. Absolutely killed it. So publicly, I'm going to apologize because your team's good. Your team's actually pretty damn good. And I got to commend you for just not you had people on your team not producing, and you're just like, adios, shipping you off, get out of my team, on to the next person. And I think you've done a good job of that. You got rid of Miles Sanders, which he's been absolute trash, and you've been picking up some good players. So Good for you. Your team's killing it. Hopefully you keep it up. I think right now you've got one of, if not the hottest team out there. I think Austin's team's kind of cooled off, but he did have a lot of players or a few players on bye. But we'll see. We'll see how his team continues to go. I don't think Austin's team's the hottest anymore, but still, it's still rolling. It's still getting wins. So, and then I love the name. All I do is ugly win. Love the name. So fitting. But a win's a win. So good job. You're at 500. You're in playoff contention. I think you moved above Luke. So now you're in the hunt for the playoffs. I mean, you've been in the hunt for playoffs, but if season ended right now, you'd be in the playoffs. So, I mean, wins are wins. I mean, if your strategy is to beat the other team when they have their worst game or their worst game of the year, hey, wins are wins. So that would be hilarious. I mean, could you imagine if Dre went in 6th seed, he goes against the number 3 seed, the number 3 seed puts up 50 points, and then the following week he goes against Austin. Austin puts up like 60 points, he wins, and then the championship, Dre just ugly wins his way to a championship. That would be definitely an asterisk next to your name, but it would be hilarious, I think. But love the name. Good job on the win. Eddie, poor Eddie. Definitely could have used, I think Eddie would have won. Yeah, Eddie would have won if Eric didn't veto and Eric get the rest of his sheep friends to veto. So L's in the chat for Eric. Sheep emojis in the chat for all those that vetoed. Good job. Give me a little in the chat. Leave a comment. Oh, poor Eddie. Eddie would have definitely got the dub. Would have been 4-6, and then all I do is Dre would have been 4-6 as well. There would have been a big tie for 4-6s. There would have been 4-4-6s, and then all I would have needed to do was win one game while the rest of you lose, and then I'm in the 6th spot. Whew, that's all right. We'll get there. So, yeah, that's tough. Poor Eddie. But now that I'm looking at it, I've thought about still sending that trade back to Eddie. But now that I've looked at it, I'm going to go to my team. If you look at this guy, CJ Stroud, one, he's been absolutely killing it. But, oh, do I have to go to my team? That's stupid. One, he's been absolutely killing it. But two, look at this schedule. Arizona, ninth best matchup for quarterbacks. Jacksonville, 4th best matchup for quarterbacks, and Denver, 8th best matchup for quarterbacks. So I'm going to use CJ Stroud for 3 more weeks. I'll probably dump his ass after that, depending on who my opponents are. But I might just dump his ass after that, and then I can just play Kyler Murray / Joe Burrow after that. After those weeks, Joe Burrow has not the best matchups. I think he's almost one of those matchup proofs. He put up 27 points against San Francisco. So if he has T. Higgins, of course, I'm probably going to play him over anybody else. But without T. Higgins, these are not bad matchups to have for Joe Burrow. So I'll probably play him then. And then if somehow I make it to the playoffs, week 16, 17, I've got some juicy matchups, Philadelphia and Chicago for Kyler Murray. So I'm going to keep my 3 quarterbacks, and hopefully I can use those to my advantage during matchups and really project myself above everybody else and have that positional advantage at the highest scoring position in football. So that's my game plan. Now that you guys know my game plan, you guys can just do what you want with that. But yeah, that was week 10. Moving on to week 11, we've got some key matchups. Obviously, we've got Luke, 6 straight losses. Hopefully, we can make it 7. I'm going for that last playoff spot, or even 5th. I doubt I could make it to the 5th seed, but I'm at least going for that 6th playoff spot, and I'm ready to beat that number 3 seed. Hopefully, when I get there. And then we've got a battle here. Austin's just barely hanging on to that lead by one. That's the thing I like about this season is we don't have that one clear cut number one team. There's no one that's way up there above the rest. We don't know who the number one seed is. We don't know who the number two seed is at playoffs because it's such a tight race. Between team 5 and team 1 is a one game difference. Of course, points for does come into play. Austin's leading the way, but if he loses and then Nate wins, Nate's only 6 points behind. So that number one spot could definitely be in jeopardy. And you have All I Do Is Ugly win against Whitney. So if Austin loses, Whitney wins. Whitney could be leading this league. And so good for you, Whitney. I don't know. I'm not really pulling for anybody except for me, but it'll be interesting. And then we've got Eddie and Eric. I want to see a bet. I want to see an agreed bet made between you two. Hopefully you guys can get it done. Definitely let me know. I will be on board for any kind of bet. Love the tattoo on the thigh idea. Love that idea. You could have I think your bet should be if Eric wins, Eddie has to put like a COVID trophy tattoo on his thigh or something like that, or champion and then the year he won with one asterisk, or no, yeah, one asterisk, and then if Eddie won, Eric would have to put champion, fantasy football league champion of whatever year Eddie won last year, and then a couple more asterisks, or just an asterisk. Just get one asterisk. Loser, okay, that's what it should be. Loser has to get an asterisk, like just a small little tiny asterisk on their body somewhere, on their butt cheek. On Eddie might want to put it on his balls because of that. Geez, that video made me hurt. That fucking, oh my God. I'm gonna have nightmares for that. But I think loser should get just a small little asterisk tattoo. That would be hilarious. I mean, it's just something small. It's something very discreet. You could hide it easily. I think that would be a funny bet because you're both the asterisk champions, and so loser would have to get one. I think that would be really funny. So let me know what you guys think on that. And then let's see here. We've got poor Jeff. Hopefully Jeff stays competitive. I really want to go get Bijan, but I feel like that would be unfair. But I do respect you still trying to stay competitive, trying to still set that lineup. So good job, Jeff. Keep it up. Thank you. I'm pretty sure your playoff hopes are dead. Not absolute dead. It's not. I don't think you're statistically eliminated, but it's pretty slim chances for you. And then, yeah, and then we've got Nate hunting for that number one spot, I'm sure, looking to be the points leader after this week. And then Austin trying to keep that number one, and Luke trying not to lose 7 straight. So it'll be an interesting week this next week for sure. There could be a lot of changes. There could be a lot of changes on this. Oh, man, that's the beautiful thing about this season. There could be a lot of changes. If I win and I beat Luke and All I Do Is Ugly win, if you lose, then I think I'm put into playoff spot, which is really nice. And then Eric's kind of at this comfortable spot. I mean, it's not comfortable, but if you lose one game, no biggie. Your worst place you're going to be at is 5 point or at 5th, unless your team absolutely tanks and you score like 20 points. But I don't see that happening. And then, well, I guess if Luke won, and then there's different scenarios. But anyway, yeah, this could be interesting week. Interesting next couple weeks, really shape to see how the playoffs are going to be. We're kind of getting to the point where I don't want to say that these teams are guaranteed to make playoffs, but we're kind of getting after this week. I think we'll have a really good idea of who's making playoffs and who's just not. I think if Eddie loses one more, he's pretty much out. If I think with Luke's team absolutely cooling off, if you lose one more, it's going to be pretty slim pickings for you to get to the playoffs, but we'll see. Um, yeah, and then we're kind of looking at, and this is where it could be really interesting because you gotta look towards the playoffs. Like, I would love to trade for Ken Walker, but his playoff schedule is absolutely disgusting. And I almost traded away Ken Walker for DeAndre Swift, but Swift's playoffs are so nice. And I want to make playoffs. That's goal number one. But goal number two is to win the championship. And I'm not winning that if I've got a Ken Walker on my team, who one is getting out snapped by Charbonnet, um, but two, having that ugly of a play. Poor Seahawks have a really rough. We've got the Rams this week. After that, we've got San Francisco twice, Philly, and then another really tough team. I forgot what the other team was, but another really tough team. So Seahawks, I don't know. I don't know if they're the best team to be riding with right now, but sorry to shit on Ken Walker, Mr. Organic, but that's one example where I don't think he is a good playoff team. So definitely we got to be looking at where, and playoff deadline is on the 18th. So we can kind of look at who wants to win now and who wants to make the playoffs versus how am I going to set myself up to where I have a really good schedule and in the playoffs. But that doesn't always mean everything. I mean, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. If I've got a few like Chase or those top tier guys that are just matchup proof, do not put them in your bench or do not try to trade them away just because they have some bad matchups. Some are matchup proof. Not all of them, not everybody is, but some of those are. And it's just something to consider, I guess. But anyway, I told myself I wasn't going to be rambling on, but here I am. Anyway, looking at versus all, Nate has the most wins. This is kind of gives you a good idea of whose team is really hot and whose team is not. Eddie, your team is completely cooled off. Besides week 7, from week 6 to week 10, you are, oh God, that's terrible. 1-35. That is really bad. Mr. Organic, it looked like you start off hot and then you cool down for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then boom, your team's kind of picked back up. And then I think my team's been heating up pretty well. I had 2 rough weeks, but beside those 2 rough weeks, my team's been really stepping up. So I've been pretty excited about that. I've got a few pieces that have been really starting to get the ball a lot more. So I'm happy about that. And then I think Nate was the other one that your team's really been hot since week 6, week 5, week 5. and then this kind of shows you like this is where Austin's team has kind of cooled down a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but you can see it at some of these other spots like Mr. Organic, where he had a few weeks where he was just not doing very well, and then all of a sudden his team turned it back around. So I could see that happening with Austin's. Eric's been kind of just in the middle of the road. I feel like you've had a really good week there, but then turned around and had a bad week, then had a really good week, then kind of had a not so good week, and then it's just been all over the place. Nothing very consistent. So that one's kind of interesting. I think you being at 5 is exactly where your team has been, where you've just been up and down. You've been kind of a roller coaster. So, and then you can see where Luke's team started off really hot and then just fucking cooled down. Look at that. Ugh, I don't think, yeah, you haven't had a decent week since week 5. And even there, that's where you did lose that week. So, your team's really cooled off. We've talked about it. It's really tough with the amount of injuries that you've had. And then Dre, your team really has not been doing good. You had a really good week 4, a decent week 1, but besides that, you don't have, if on a versus all, you haven't beat 5 people for a week since week 4. So I would say I said it before. I'll say it again. I like your name. I think it's very fitting. So that's just kind of interesting to kind of see the trends, see who's been hot and who's kind of been cooling down. You can see it in records, but this kind of gives you a little bit better visual. Um, moving on, we have our versus all. We've got our I guess I'll go through my power rankings. And I usually have it written up, but I'm gonna go on a whim here and just kind of wing it. Let's see here. Number one team. I think I'm gonna go with the hottest team, and that's Whitney. Whitney, your team is absolutely on fire. You've got Dak Prescott, who has been, I think, like the QB1 since you've picked him up. CeeDee Lamb, who's been the number one fantasy option since you picked up Dak Prescott. So that's a huge stack right there. Hopkins, who's been doing a little bit better with Will Levis. He didn't have a very good game this last game. It'll be interesting to see how if that trend kind of continues to him not doing so good. Um, not the best matchup, but not the best matchups coming up, but nothing too terrible. We'll see if Will Levis can turn around for him. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's a dog. He's been absolutely turning it around, even with David Montgomery. David Montgomery on the L's in the chat for Eric on that one. I'm sure you hate to see Gibbs is now the leader of that backfield. I think I was watching, and Montgomery had 3 chances or 2 chances at the 1-yard line and got stuffed on both of them. They're going to be giving the rock to Gibbs a lot more. I think David Montgomery kind of got bailed out on a good fantasy day because of his 75-yard rushing touchdown. You take that away, and he just had a kind of day. You take any one of this guy's rushing attempts out of his game, and he still had a really good week. So I think that's a very good. He's a big asset that could end up being not a league winner, maybe even a league winner. I mean, let's look at that schedule coming up. He's got a few tough matchups, but this offense has just been so good. I think he isn't matchup proof, but I think he'll produce no matter what. And then Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Kelce getting those two back. Anytime you have a high power offensive player in your lineup, there's always a chance for touchdowns. And we'll see. Travis Kelce hasn't been his normal Travis Kelce self. He's had a lot of really good matchups. And so it'll be interesting off of the bye, especially this 3, 4, 5 game stretch to see how he does. He hasn't been that powerhouse that he has been in the past. He's had 2 rough games, but we'll see how he does with off of a bye week. I'm sure he'll do really well. Andy Reid's really good off of the bye. And Marquise Brown, I think this could be. I really wish you would have traded him to me. I wish you would trade so I could somehow get Marquise Brown. I think he's going to be really good with Kyler Murray coming back. Almost had a huge game, had the ball come right through his fingertips, almost clutched that for a big touchdown. Could have turned his game around even more, and then you could have had an even higher scoring. But you take out Hopkins, you put in a healthy T. Higgins. This is a scary looking team. I mean, your worst player is honestly Isaiah Pacheco, and he's been pretty solid. He's kind of on and off, but he's been a good, fairly consistent player on a high-powered offense, and this is your worst player. I think that really good team, hottest team out there right now. So that's why I got you number 1. Number 2, I've got Austin. He had a few guys on the bye, and Etienne, who's been on fire, went against San Francisco, and that defensive line is so scary. I don't see anybody running on them. Absolutely nobody's going to run on them. If you get positive yards, I think that's a win for your RB. And then Josh Jacobs, they want to center that offense around Josh Jacobs. They said it over and over on Monday Night Football, and I think it's true. So he's going to be getting the rock. He's going to get the volume. So, and then you've got, we'll see how he does with Dobbs, but you got Justin Jefferson coming back. You've got Alvin Kamara, who's always going to be producing. And then Keaton Mitchell, he looked fast. Yeah, he didn't get very much opportunity, but they're talking about implementing him more and more, so he could be a big play. The only thing with your team is you can't start 4 running backs. I mean, if we had 2 flex, this would be a really scary lineup, but I don't really see a weakness on your team. I don't see a weakness. You've got Deebo Samuel. You switch out Terry with Justin Jefferson. Even with Dobbs, I think he's going to be producing. I think your biggest weakness is Lamar Jackson and his inconsistency. He's done, I don't know. He had 3 really good games there. He had one not very good game. That one's okay. And he had a really good 33. And then ever since then, it seems like they have so many weapons in their passing or in their rushing game that I don't know. Maybe he's not going to be as consistent. He's not going to be constant 20, 30-point game every week. But he's definitely a guy that could put up 30 points against any team. Just he has that upside. So that's my only concern for your team, but still, that's a good team. And then this person that's leading, or not leading, but second in points, I would say Nate is my number 3. You got a really good team. My concern is Gus Edwards getting overtaken by Keaton Mitchell, but you've got Christian McCaffrey, who's an absolute dog, but he didn't get his touchdown, which was surprising. But that's how good this guy is. This guy did not get a touchdown, and he still scored 14 points. I mean, Jesus. Even when he has a bad day, it's a good day. So it'll be interesting how he does against Tampa and Philly, but honestly, I don't think it matters. And then Washington, this matchup that was kind of going into championship, if you do make it to championship, that's now a nice matchup. I don't think Washington is as good without Chase and Sweat. Their defensive line just can't be as good. I think they still have actually kind of a decent running defense, even with those guys. Ken Walker didn't put up too many points. And then the week before that, I think it was Stevenson. He didn't put up too many points against them. But with Christian McCaffrey, if you don't have those two, Chase and Sweat, I don't see why he couldn't put up a huge game there. So honestly, just 2 tough matchups. Besides that, this guy's just a beast. This guy's worst game this year is 11 points. I'm super happy if my running back scores 11 points. What a beast. Hats off to you. That's a great first overall pick. And Devontae Smith, he'll get the Brock in some red zone throws a little bit more with Dallas Goedert out, I think. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he leads the league over the last 3 or 4 weeks in receptions. I know it's not a PPR, but still, volume is always really good. Breece Hall's absolute dog. This guy came off an ACL, and he's still lighting it up. Not the best last 2 games. Maybe I'll send you a trade for him. I doubt you would trade him away, but never hurts to try. He's a dog. And then Jake Ferguson has been really solid for you. But I think the Dallas team has been really solid. So as long as they stay hot, your team he'll stay hot. And then Mike Evans, you've got really good depth. I think that's one big thing. You've got 3 really solid running backs. I did kind of express my concern with Gus Edwards, but still 3 really solid running backs. And then let's see here. Who would be number 4? I think Mr. Organic. I still really like your team. Justin Herbert seems to have figured it out without some of his big weapons like Mike Evans and Palmer. He just going to throw everything to Keenan Allen, which scares me because I'm going against Keenan Allen. But yeah, he's Justin Herbert's really solid quarterback. Brandon Ayuk benefits from Debo being back. He put up a pretty big game from what I could see. I thought he had more than that. It seemed like every time I looked over, he was catching the ball. I thought maybe he definitely had more than 3. But he had a touchdown. Really solid number. I guess he's your number 1. I guess that would be my concern is you don't really have a big number 1 wide receiver. Amari Cooper, I'm sorry, but you should be starting Devontae Adams with Amari Cooper or with Deshaun Watson being out. I know Deshaun Watson's he's not the quarterback that he was in for the Texans, but Amari Cooper is not the wide receiver with PJ Walker that he is with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson just throws it up and lets Amari Cooper do the work for him. I don't know. I got my mixed feelings without Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson's good for Amari Cooper. no one else. I think PJ Walker is. I think Njoku, their tight end, benefits from PJ Walker being there, but um, that's my concern with him. I don't know. So I think Devontae Adams will start getting more volume. I think I do like their head coach, and I hope they stick with him. James Conner looked really good for being his first game back. 7.3 points on a standard. I think that's really good. Romeo Dobbs, I'm pretty sure he got a touchdown. So he's been pretty inconsistent. And talk about inconsistent, Gabe Davis. So I think you've got some inconsistent wide receivers, but besides that, Dalton Kincaid been a dog for fantasy since Knox got hurt. So that was a really good pickup. And then, like I said, I do have my concerns for this. Look at this: San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco, Philly. That is a nasty. Christian McCaffrey, I think his worst game or his second worst game was against Dallas. And then San Francisco, that defensive line, scary. And then Philly, ugh, they're the best against. No one can run on them. No one. And so that's my concern with him. But you have backup. You have some options with James Conner. He actually does not have a bad schedule. But we'll see if he starts to get more volume again, or are they going to keep giving Charbonnet some more volume? Mixon, also another not the best schedule, but that offense has been ramping it up. And Austin Eckler, he's a dog. He's had a really solid. He's kind of turned it around the last 3 weeks. That's why I wanted you to keep him. I knew as soon as he got healthy, he would start producing again. And he's got a pretty friendly schedule coming up, so I'd be happy about that. But you've got really good running backs. But there's definitely some concerns at wide receiver. That's why I got you at number 4. Moving on. Number 5. I think you're right where you need to be. Eric, you got Jalen Hurts, dog. Stephon Diggs, dog. Although that offense does not look right, he's been He's been just kind of He had one really good game, but over the last 5 weeks, he's been barely hitting 10, 11, not even there. Didn't have a very good game against Denver. Not going to have a good game against Jets. Jets seem to know how to, although they didn't lock him down, but that offense just does not look right. And as you get towards the end of the year, they start to get in the snowy games. So that's why Buffalo always kind of scares me when you have those players at the end of the year. DK Crybaby Metcalf, he has not been. Our offense has been off. He has not had a good game since week 3. Yikes. I did not know he was doing that bad. He's a big crybaby. I love DK, but God needs to quit crying. Derrick Henry, another bad performance from him. He's just one of those older guys that just does not. I don't know. I think as we get farther into the year, 1, they're going to give this ball to Spears some more, and then 2, he's going to get a little bit more and more worn out. He does have a really nice. He always destroys Houston whenever he runs against them. Always absolutely destroys them. So good matchup there for you if you make the playoffs. I'm sure you will. But Najee Harris actually seems to be stepping it up. He had a pretty good game. That offense seems to be figuring it out. Tough matchup against Cleveland. And then it was interesting. They did kind of talk about Jaylen Warren being the starter, but I don't know if that got leaked by I don't know. I'm not convinced on that. I think it's just a committee. I think it's a 50-50 committee. I don't think you should read too much into one being a starter versus the other. But that trade, I guess, was not as bad as I thought. I think Najee's been stepping it up. And TJ Hawkinson, he got absolutely fed. That was the annoying thing when I was watching. I think at one point I was projected like 75 points, and I had like a less than 20% chance of winning, according to Yahoo. And that was the frustrating thing. This guy was supposed to be limited, and he was supposed to be on a snap count. I wonder if I can find it in here. No, it's older. But he was supposed to be on a snap count. I saw that, and I was like, oh, sweet. Hawkinson won't be involved as much. They force-fed him 15 targets. 15 targets. That's crazy. The guy absolutely got fed for the first half. Second half disappeared, but first half, guy absolutely got fed. My goodness, that was so frustrating to watch. But with Jefferson coming back, that'll be interesting to see how his volume changes. And with a new quarterback, it's really hard to predict. Dobbs has been really solid for a backup. And then I kind of touched on David Montgomery. Got a little bit of concerns with him. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the yeah, you take away that 75-yard run. This guy rushed for 11 attempts, 75, 20, 36 yards for 11 attempts. That's like just about 3 yards per attempt. And you take away his touchdown. So you take away one run, and this guy had a terrible day for you. So I've got some concerns for him for sure. I think Gibbs is taking that backfield over, but we'll see. That was just his first game back. He supposedly didn't have any kind of limitation, but it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. But I definitely do think you have some holes in your teams. Stephon Diggs, that Buffalo offense doesn't look right. Seattle offense doesn't look right. Jalen Hurts, I think he's been battling a knee injury. I don't see him doing the tush push as much. I think they're going to try to save him for the playoffs. They know they're making the playoffs, so I think they're going to try to be a little bit safer. I'm hoping and give Swift the ball a little bit more during those short yard games. So we'll see. I don't know. Definitely some concerns on your team, but overall, I think a solid team. I think my team's number 6. You guys probably don't want to listen about how I think about my team. Of course, I'm going to think highly of my team. I hope Derek Carr just sits the rest of the year out. I hope he's okay, but I hope he sits the rest of the year out. Lets Jameis Winston just throw the ball, or Derek Carr looks and saw, oh my God, if I give Chris Olave the ball a little bit more, or if I throw it down the field a little bit more, we'll score some points. I hope he took a lesson, or I hope Jameis Winston just gets in a just chucks the ball down the field. That would be amazing. I would really like that. See, that was the nice thing to see the second half. It was like, okay, I think I was right about Chris Olave because I drafted him in so many leagues. I was like, I think I'm right about him. I think it's just the quarterback. So maybe it's just me in my own head. I don't know, but that was nice to see him start to go off once they got the ball down the field. I've got really good matchups with my quarterbacks, and I can kind of shuffle through. Jamar Chase, even with a bad back, had a huge game. Cooper Kupp's coming back with Matt Stafford. Love that. Hate that against the Seahawks, but love that for fantasy. So I hope Cooper Kupp does well, but not too well against the Seahawks. I don't know. I got mixed feelings about the Seahawks. I don't think we're Super Bowl. I think we're a playoff team, not a Super Bowl team. But Javonte Williams starting to get the rock a lot more. I saw they had his projected points over 11, and I was like, why? But apparently, Yahoo knows more than I do, and he got the rock a lot. I don't think it tells me attempts. 21 attempts, super happy about that, and getting involved in the passing game with a touchdown. Solid performance. I think he's kind of turning it around while being a little bit more healthy. And then Swift has been a volume beast. Schultz, solid. He's had 3 or 4 solid weeks. I'll take 7 from my tight end all day. I'm happy about that. But besides that 1 week, he's had 1, 2, 5 of the last 6 weeks have been really solid for him. So I'm happy to have him as my backup tight end. And then Brian Robinson, I think he's kind of matchup dependent. So I'll take him against Seahawks, and then I'll take him against the Giants. Definitely won't play him for the Dallas game. And then Stevenson had a solid outing. And then hopefully Charbonnet. Not a very nice matchups coming through, so maybe they give him the rock a little bit more. I don't know. I think I've got an overall pretty solid squad. I've got name value, but it's just a matter of them putting in my team putting in the work and for them to start performing. So that's why I've got myself at 6. But I think my team has some games to prove. And then I would say 7 is Luke. Luke's been really hurt by your boys need some vitamin C. Definitely some more. You're almost there. I think Jalen Warren could be a little bit better than what we think. Um, Nice PPR guy, but standard. I don't know. He's kind of touchdown dependent, I think. He's had some good games last couple of weeks, but can he keep it up? I don't know. He's also I could see them getting behind and then just them not featuring the running backs as much. Keenan Allen, absolute beast. 30 points, absolute beast. I wouldn't worry about like the injury. Josh Allen has not been right. And against New York Jets, I'm enjoying that because I'm going against Luke. And the Calvin Ridley has not been the old Calvin Ridley. He's had two good weeks, and as a person that drafted Calvin Ridley in a few other leagues, been frustrating. It's been frustrating having him. And Tony Pollard, oof. You're expecting this guy to be your workhorse, the guy that carries you to a championship, has not been that guy. And this is kind of interesting. This almost shows you like I don't know. It makes me wonder on how defenses view backup running backs. So do they view backup running backs as like, oh, they might not run it, kind of thing, and they get caught off guard more easily? I don't know, but Tony Pollard has not been what he was even last year. So that's kind of interesting. He had a first 3 weeks really solid. Had a decent week against the Chargers. Other than that, he's pretty much been 50-50, and not someone that you hope to do that, drafting him in the second round. Jerome Ford has been solid for a backup, but he's not going to win you any weeks. Not usually. Hopefully he doesn't this week. And Sam Laporta, really good tight end, but he's not been getting those red zone targets. I think if they start turning that around, he could be huge. But like I said, there's just too many injuries on your team. It's only so much you can do and not so much you can overcome. So I've got you at 7. And then number 8, all I do is ugly win. You've got a good team. You've been set up with some bad situations. Aaron Jones has been injured, and I don't think he's been 100% ever since week 1. Saquon Barkley's on a terrible offense, so only so much he can do. AJ Brown's been really good, but besides that, I do like the move of moving Tank Dell there. I do like that. Adam Thielen start off hot, but this is where I wonder if like old guys kind of start to get worn out as the season progresses. They're not their young self, so they can't recover as fast. So yeah, over the last 3 weeks, he's been absolute garbage. Rashad White has been really good. I was watching a video today, and they were like, he might be a sell high. I don't know. Against San Francisco, I don't see him producing very much. Hopefully, he proves me wrong. But and then your tight end, Musgrave. He's been decent. He's been better, but I don't trust that offense. And then you've got A-Chain coming back. I don't know if he's going to be – I don't think they were planning on playing him this week. But even next week, I think he's got some tougher matchups coming up. New York Jets, they're good defense. Washington, yeah, I don't know. Just not your juicy matchups that you had these 3 weeks that he was playing. So we'll see how he does against a really good defense. That'll be interesting to see. And I see you loading up on the Houston wide receivers. That's interesting. Taysom Hill, he's been a really good solid. He's on the bye. I guess I missed that. That's my bad. But he's been a really solid. Besides this last week, he's actually been a really solid and really involved in that offense. We'll see if they keep that up. But I think you've had some unfortunate things happen with your 2 running backs here. And then I think he's been really good, but I don't think he can keep it up. That's just my opinion. I really don't have anything to back that up. And then number 9, Eddie. Eddie, you need a fucking quarterback. I do like the move to Jordan Love. I think he's got more upside than Will Levis. Will Levis had a really good week 1, but since then, And then Puka Nacua, he'll be better with Stafford and Tyreek Hill coming back. That'll be really good for you. James Cook, I don't know. I think they should run the ball some more because obviously something's wrong with Josh Allen. So they should run the ball more and then not rely so heavy on Josh Allen. And Mark Andrews is a dog. I like the play at Ty Chandler at Denver, and then DJ Moore with Justin Fields coming back, I think is an upgrade. And then some You got Jonathan Taylor. You've got a pretty decent. Um, you've got a decent. You've got a decent bench, but having that crappy QB, that's tough. I mean, Jordan Love, I would expect he's probably scored more. He's been a little bit better than I thought, actually. He's been decent. But I mean, if you have him consistently scoring 15, 13, anywhere from the 10 to 15 range, and you've got your opponent scoring 25, 20, that's a 5 to 10 point advantage to the other player. And that's just pretty hard to overcome. Hopefully, you can overcome it with your tight end advantage. But if he doesn't produce, you just need a lot of things to happen in order for your team to keep on winning. And then last, I'm not going to dog on your team too much. You've got the talent. You've got some young bucks. You've got some dogs, but sorry, Jeff. I'm just gonna say your record speaks for itself. I'm not gonna dog your team too much, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. 46 minutes, not the best, but hope you guys enjoyed. My mouth is getting dry and I need to get some water. Hope you guys love the main. And Eric, Eddie, I really like the idea of asterisk. Whoever loses gets an asterisk right on their butt cheek. I will pay. I will pay for it. Whoever loses, asterisk, butt cheek. I would love to see that. That would be okay. If you guys do that bet, you guys got to do it during fantasy, or if this next year's draft when Austin hosts, because Austin is still commissioner. So let me know what you guys think. I think that would be hilarious. That would be really funny. And if I play you in playoffs, I'll bet you again. I'll bet you a tattoo. I would so do that. It's just a small little asterisk. Do it. Do it. Do it, little babies. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Peace.